death. There are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes.
Welcome and welcome back. I'm B. Today I want to discuss an icon in horror, the unforgettable Tony Todd. Sadly, Tony Todd passed away on November 6th at the age of 69. While the cause of his death is unknown at this time, his wife Fatima shared with the Hollywood Reporter that he had been battling a long illness. He is survived by his wife and two children. We'll celebrate his life and incredible legacy in horror with today's tribute. Now, we won't be covering every single role he's played because we'd be here all day, but we'll hit some highlights that show just why Tony Todd was and always will be a horror legend. From his impactful roles to his lasting influence on horror and beyond, his contributions are truly unforgettable. So, if you're a fan of the horror genre, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's dive in. Tony Todd was born in Washington, D.C. on December 4th, 1954, but he grew up in Hartford, Connecticut. Growing up, he always had a love of theater and the arts, which eventually led him to study at the University of Connecticut and later the Eugene O'Neill National Actors Theater Institute. His passion for acting was rooted in a desire to not only entertain, but also to connect with people and tell impactful stories. What's so inspiring about Tony is that he didn't just pursue acting as a job. He saw it as a way to break boundaries and represent his culture and community on screen. Over his career, Tony Todd amassed over 200 acting credits across film, television, and voice acting. He's one of those rare actors who brought life to characters across genres, whether in horror, drama, science fiction, or comedy. His first movie role came in 1986 when he appeared in Sleepwalk, a fantasy drama. His role was quite brief, but despite limited screen time, he had strong screen presence and dramatic talent, qualities that would define his career moving forward. Tony's versatility also shines through his voice acting. Horror fans may know him for bringing his deep, chilling voice to animated roles, and one standout was his voice work as Venom in the Spider Man 2 video games. His voice has a resonance and intensity that adds an extra layer to any character he plays, and in Venom's case, it made the character even more menacing. Whether he's in front of the camera or behind the microphone, Tony Todd has always left a lasting impression.
Including human beings, without provocation, and will devour flesh mankind. It has been confirmed that acts of homicide and cannibalism reported through the FBI from 23rd, 1989 are contributed. Tony's
Big break in horror came in 1990 when he starred in Tom Savini's remake of Night of the Living Dead. In this version, he took on the role of Ben, originally played by Dwayne Jones in George Romero's 1968 classic. Todd's performance was intense and layered, bringing a fresh take to a character who's fighting for the survival against both living and the undead. It was this role that really established Tony Todd in horror, showing his ability to carry a film as a lead and making him a new face of the genre.
My victim. Be my victim.
While Night of the Living Dead was his horror debut, it was this next major role that truly changed everything. Candyman in 1992. The film was a horror hit and tackled social themes that were rare for the genre at the time. Tony's portrayal of Candyman was haunting yet human, a vengeful ghost bound by a tragic history. He brought depth and empathy to what could have been a straightforward horror villain, and that was powerful. Tony returned to the role of Candyman for two follow up sequels: Candyman Farewell to the Flesh in 1995 and Candyman Day of the Dead in 1999. These sequels solidified his role as the face of the franchise and further developed the complex, tragic legacy of the character. In 2021, he even made a brief, powerful appearance in the Candyman reboot, a film that served as a modern continuation of the original story. Decades later, Tony Todd remains synonymous with Candyman, and his portrayal is legendary in the horror community. And let's be real, a lot of us as kids tried playing Candyman in the mirror, but couldn't get to the fifth time out of pure fear. That's how impactful Tony's role was. He turned a fictional character into an urban legend that genuinely terrified people in real life. It's rare to see that kind of influence.
Please, await the dead.
Aside from Candyman, Tony Todd is well known for his role in the Final Destination franchise, where he played the mysterious mortician William Bloodworth. First appearing in Final Destination in 2000, Bloodworth's eerie presence and cryptic knowledge of death's design added a whole new layer of suspense to the series. Todd returned as Bloodworth in Final Destination 2 and Final Destination 5, cementing himself as one of the franchise's most memorable characters. And in some exciting news for Final Destination fans, Tony Todd completed filming his role as Bloodworth for the upcoming Final Destination Bloodlines, which is set to be released in 2025. What's really incredible is Tony Todd's influence, especially as a Black actor, in a genre that hasn't always been welcoming. Horror hasn't always had the best track record with diversity, but Tony's roles, especially as Candyman, gave Black audiences a character who was complex, tragic, and terrifying. He was the face of a horror franchise. Tony Todd broke ground, creating space for other Black actors to enter horror not as victims or sidekicks, but as the main attraction. Tony's impact goes beyond just his roles, though. He brought a commanding presence and a level of artistry that elevated horror villains from simple monsters to nuanced, unforgettable characters. His performances helped change how audiences viewed horror villains, and he made the genre richer and more inclusive. Up until his death, Tony Todd was still actively contributing to horror. He has appeared in numerous horror films, both independent and mainstream, and he's constantly supporting young filmmakers and horror actors. His legacy is about more than just being an actor, it's about opening doors for more diverse stories and representation. Thank you for joining me in this tribute to Tony Todd. His legacy will definitely live on. He's inspired generations of horror fans and creators alike. Let me know in the comments your favorite Tony Todd role or moment. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more horror content.
I'll see you soon.